They're just word problems that have fractions and decimals in them. So don't freak out. So just like with any other word problem that you do, you're going to use whatever problem solving plan that your teacher has for you. So some people use UPS, some people use Rubies, some people use Solve, cubes. Like there's all kind of different problem solving methods that your teacher might have taught you. Whichever ones your teacher taught you, use those. Okay, as I go through, we're going to be talking about really understanding the question, because that's the key to getting the question right, is understanding. Okay, and that means a lot of times that we have to read and then reread the question multiple times in order to understand what it's talking about. All right, so let's go ahead and look at number one. I hope you have this paper, but if you don't have this paper, then I want you to just write down the important information and still solve it. You don't have to write it word for word, but just write down the important information. Okay? All right, so number one says, Mrs. Cook ordered prime rib roast online for her daughter's engagement dinner. So we have to analyze this picture here. Okay, so we've got the name of the company, we've got reviews. All right, they selected the 6 1/4 pounds, and that's $23.07. And then that little line means per pound. So it's $23.70. 7 cents per pound. And they're getting one. So that's important as well. We've got shipping. It says, if the cost of shipping was $7, what was the total cost for the roast, including shipping, round to the nearest cent? Okay, so we got to focus on what the question's asking us for. It's asking us for the total cost of the roast, including shipping. Okay, well, shipping is right here, $7. The total cost of the roast. All right, so we got to go back to our picture here and figure out what information we need to figure out the cost of the roast. All right, so cost is here, $23.07 per pound. So that means we need to go look to see what information they tell us about the pounds. And they tell us that it's 6 1/4 pounds. Well, I noticed, and I'm sure you noticed, that there's a fraction here. Right? So we need to take that fraction and change it to a decimal. Okay? If you don't have it memorized, hopefully you memorized what 1/4 is a decimal. If you haven't, then you can do numerator in, denominator out, do NIDO, and it'll be 0.25. So they bought 6 2/25 pounds of the rib, of the prime rib. Okay, so, all right, so do I add those, subtract, multiply, divide? So it's 2307 per pound. So it's 2307 for the first pound, 2307 for the second pound, 2307 for the third pound, fourth pound. So that 2307 is going to repeat 6 2/25 times. So that means we need to multiply that. Okay, so I'm just going to scoot this over because that's going to be a lot of multiplying, and I want to make sure that I give myself enough room to do it neatly. Remember, when you're multiplying decimals, you don't have to line up the decimals. In this case, they happen to line up, but you definitely don't have to line them up. All right, so go ahead and multiply, and then we can compare answers. I bet you can beat me multiplying. Think you can? Guess we'll find out. Okay, it's 14. Well, let me just remind you that on your third line of multiplication, make sure you put 2 zeros, one for the 5 and one for the 2, because you've already multiplied by those. So make sure you put 2 zeros in that third line. All right, so when you finish, look up and see what you got. All right, so I still need to put my decimal, right? So I have 1, 2 places here, 1, 2 places here, So altogether, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 places that I'm going to have behind my decimal point. So remember, you start at the end and you go 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 144 and 1,875 thousandths. Now this is money, right? And our smallest value for money is a cent, which is our hundredths place, right? So that means we need to round that 8. So does the 8 stay an 8 or does it go up to a 9? All right, so the 7 is bigger than 5, so that means that our 8 is going to go up to a 9. So just for the roast is, I'm going to come back over here so we can see the question again. So the roast is $144.19. All right, so I have an answer. I notice that it is the same answer as A. Now, I'm not going to get excited and pick A because I'm going to go back and reread my question and make sure I answered it, okay? Your key to success is making sure you answer. We did a lot of work, okay? And when you do a lot of work, sometimes your brain forgets what it was originally asked because you've done something. Look at all the work that we've done, right? We divided, made a decimal, we multiplied, right? So let's reread the question and make sure we have it. All right, it says, if the cost of shipping was $7, what was the total cost for the roast? So if the cost for shipping was $7, what was the total cost for the roast, including shipping? Well, have we included shipping with this? No, this is just the cost of the roast. So we have to add the cost of the shipping. So we're going to say plus $7. Now, if we're adding, we definitely have to line up our place value, because we have to add ones with ones. All right. So if the cost of shipping was $7, what was the total cost of the roast, including shipping? So have we answered the question? Will this be the total cost for the roast, including shipping? Yes, it will be. So that B is our answer. Okay? All right, so some key things to remember here. Once you do work, go back and reread your question to make sure you answered the question. Okay? All right, let's look at number 2 together. All right, last week, Fernando ran 2 3/10 miles on Friday, 3 1/4 miles on Saturday, and 2 miles on Sunday. This week, Fernando ran the same number of miles on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. What is the total number of miles Fernando ran during the 2 weeks? Okay, so we're looking for the total number of miles in 2 weeks. Okay, so let's go look. All right, so it says last week, Fernando ran this many miles on Friday, Saturday. Let me try to make this a little neater. Okay, so this many miles on Friday, this many miles on Saturday, 2 miles on Sunday. So that was last week. This week he ran the same number, so it's going to be equal to what's up there on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The same number. Okay, so that means I've got to add all that together. So I got to add Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday again. Right? So I think what I'm going to do is add both Fridays together first. So that'd be 4 6/10. And then both Saturdays. That's 6 2/4. And then both Sundays, that's 2 plus 2. That one's easy. All right, let me simplify these. I'm going to simplify by 2. That will be 6 divided by 2 is 3. That'll be 5. And this one would be a half. Divided by 2. All right, so I have to add 4 3/5 plus 6 1/2 plus 4. So I know when I add fractions, I have to find a common denominator, and that will be 10. So 5 times 2 is 10. Whatever, multiply the denominator by, we've got to multiply the numerator by. So 3 times 2 is 6. Oops, I should have done that in purple. Let's erase that. Remember, if you get a new denominator, you have to get a new numerator. So you can't just bring that numerator over. So 2 times 5 is 10, and 1 times 5 is 5. I do not need to do the 4 because it doesn't have a fraction, so I'm not going to be adding a fraction there. So 6 tenths and 5 tenths is 11 tenths. And then 4 plus 6 is, 4 plus 6 is 10, plus 4 is 14. So we have 14 and 11 tenths. Hopefully you noticed that. That is improper because our numerator is bigger than our denominator. So how do we fix improper? We divide it. So we do neato. I'm going to scooch this over just a little bit because I'm running out of room. So 11 divided by 10, numerator in, denominator out. Your remainder becomes your numerator and your denominator stays the same. So we had our 14 wholes. 11 tenths equals 1 and 1/10. So we have to add those together. So altogether, that's going to give us 15 and 1/10 miles. All right, so let's come over here. 15 and 1/10 miles. So our answer will be A. Now, let's reread our question and make sure we answered. What is the total number of miles Fernando ran during the 2 weeks? Now, there are other ways that you could have answered this question. You could have added the 2 and 3/10, the 3 and 1/4, and the 2. You could have added that together first and then taken that sum and doubled it, added it again. You could, well, that's the other way I think would have been easiest. I'm sure there are other ways that you could have solved it as well. Okay, so whatever way you solve it, 15 and 1/10 will be our answer. Now, number 3, number 4, and number 5 are all similar questions. This is a very common, what's the word I'm looking for? This is a very common question, okay? This type of question. So that's why there's 3 of them. We're going to do the first one completely together. And the second one, I'm going to kind of guide you through a little bit. And then the third one, you're going to do all by yourself, okay? All right, number 3 says a large bag contains 160 jelly beans. The jelly beans are described below. Of the jelly beans in the bag, 1/4 are blue. Of the jelly beans in the bag, 2/5 are red. Of the jelly beans in the bag, 1/8 are yellow. The rest are green. How many jelly beans are green? All right. So 1/4 of the jelly beans are blue. So I'm going to rewrite that. 1/4 of the jelly beans, I'm just going to put JB, of the jelly beans are blue. 1/4 are blue. So how do we, sorry about that. So how do we figure out how many are blue? Well, we have to take 1/4 of the jelly beans. Okay, so 1/4 of the jelly beans, so we have to, and of in math means multiply, right? Of means multiply. So we have to take 1/4 of the 160. There's a couple ways you could do that. You could simplify the 4 and the 160. You could also think about it like if this is our whole, which is 160, right? And we take that whole and break it into 4 pieces, that means we need to take the 160 and break it into 4 pieces. It'll be 40. Either way, even if you simplified this and you multiplied that, it's the same process. You're taking that 160 and dividing it by 4. So 40 of the jelly beans are blue. Notice, I'm trying to keep my work organized. Okay, I've done the work over here. I've done the work over here for the 1/4, but I'm going to take it and I'm going to bring it over here and I'm going to put my answer right there so that I know that that 40 goes with this blue right here. Okay? All right, let's do the next one. It says 2/5 are red. So it's the same thought process. 2/5 are red. So 2/5 of the 160 are red. The of means to multiply. So we're going to say 2/5 times 160. I'm going to simplify by 5. So I'm going to say divide by 5, divide by 5. That simplifies to 1. I'm going to go to the side and I'm going to say 160 divided by 5 is 32. So I'm going to cross this out. I'm going to put 32. And then I'm going to multiply straight across. I'm going to say 2 times 32. And again, I'm going to come to the side. Do 32 times 2, which is going to be 64. And then 1 times 1 is 1. So there are 64 red jelly beans. I'm going to put my 64 right. Keep trying to keep my work organized. I'm going to bring it up here. I'm going to write 64 right there. All right, then we have an 1/8 are yellow. So same procedure, right? 1/8 of the 160 are yellow. So we're going to, that of means we're going to multiply. So if we simplify, divide by 8, divide by 8, that'll be 1, that'll be 20. Multiply straight across. Okay, so that means that there are 20 yellow. All right, let me read the question because I've done a lot of work. Okay, it says a large bag contains 160 jelly beans if the jelly beans are described below. So 1/4 are blue, 2/5 are red, 1/8 are yellow, the rest are green. How many are green? Okay. So add these up. 10, 12. So 124 are blue, red, and yellow, right? But we want to know the green. So the rest are green. So what do we do to figure out what the rest, how many of the rest are? Yep, that's right. We're going to subtract. So we're going to say 160 minus 124. And we're going to get 36. 36 are green. All right, it says to record our answer in the bubble. So 36 is a whole, right? The 6 is in the ones place and the 3 is in the tens place. So when we put it into our griddable, right, there's our decimal. So the ones place is right in front of the decimal and then the tens place. So when we grid this, it's going to be 36 like that. Okay, it's a whole, so make sure it goes in front of the decimal. All right, so recap what we've done. All right, we did a lot, right? We multiplied each one of the fractions by the total. And then we figured out, how much of each color there were. Then we got the total of the blue, red, and yellow. And then last we subtracted the blue, red, and yellow from the total to get how many were green. Okay, so that's the procedure that you had to use. On the next one, it's the same procedure where you're going to take the fractions and multiply it. But there is one thing that's different that I'm going to need to point out to you. Okay? All right, so let's take a look. So it says for Nancy's birthday, she was given $180 in cash. Nice. She decided to be smart and deposit 3/5 of it into the savings account. She spent a total of $33 at the movies, and she then spent a third of what was left on a Christmas present for her mom. The rest of the money she spent on herself. How much money did she spend on herself? Okay, so what's different about this one than the jelly bean one is that each one of the jelly beans was out of the total. But one of these down here with the money is not going to be out of the total. Okay, because right here it says of what was left. Okay, so that is not the total of the $180. So we have to be careful of that. Now, how much she deposited? She said 3/5 of it. That it is talking about the $180 in cash. She spent $33 at the movies and then a third of what was left. So when we come down here, we're going to have to figure out, okay, well, how much money did she have left before we can take a third of it? Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's figure out, you figure out how much she deposited in the savings account. So pause the video, figure it out, and then you can check to make sure you got it right. All right, so she did 3/5 of the 180. So 3/5 times 180. I do not know what 180 divided by 5 is, so let me do that real quick. Okay, so it's 36. Times 308. Okay. All right, so she put $108 in her savings account. I hope you got that. If not, probably just made a computation error. So 5 goes into 180 36 times, and 36 times 3. Okay. All right. Then she spent a total of $33 at the movies. Do we have to do anything with that? No, she spent $33 at the movies. So that's just $33. No need to do anything extra for that. Then it says she spent a third of what was left. Well, how much money did she have left after she put the money in the savings and she spent? Okay, so we have to add that together, right? So altogether, she has spent so far, $141. Right? That's what she has spent. So how much does she have left? So to figure out how much she has left, we're going to subtract. So 180, not 108. So she had 180. She spent 141. So she has $39 left. Okay. So she spent a third of what was left. So what was left? $39. So she spent 1/3 of the $39. So 1 of means we're going to multiply. So 1/3 times 39. Can simplify, thankfully. So that'll be 1. That will be 13. So she spent $13 on her mom's present. So this would be 13. The rest of the money she spent on herself. Okay, so she spent 108, 33, and 13. We already added the 108 and the 33 right here. So that was 141. So I just need to say 141 plus the $13 she spent on her mom. That would be $154. This is how much she spent. And the question says, how much money did she spend on her herself. So figure out how much she spent on herself, pause the video, and then come back and check it. All right, so her total was 180 minus the 154. So $26 on herself. Okay, so let's grid that. So again, you have to worry about place value. 6 is in the ones place. 2 is in the tens place. So $26. If you want to put the zeros back here, you can, but you absolutely do not have to. Okay? All right, now I want you to try number 3 all by yourself. Okay, try number 3 all by yourself. Pause the video. Don't get any help. Try by yourself and see if you can get it. Okay? It's not number 3, it's number 5, but the third one. All right, so he had $240. He used 3/8 of the money. So the money is the $240. To buy a webcam, he used half of the remaining money. Okay, so that's the leftover money. So I have to figure out what that is. To buy 5 amusement park tickets, how much money did each ticket cost? Okay. So first, I have to figure out how much he spent on the webcam, right? So 3/8 of 240. And we know that of means to multiply. So I'm going to simplify. That'll be 1 divided by 8. 8, 16, 24. So it goes 3. So it'll go 30. And then multiply straight across. So 3 times 30 is 90. 1 times 1 is 1. So he spent $90 on the webcam. He used half of the remaining money. So what is left? Half of the remaining money. So I have to figure out what's left. So I'm going to say 240 minus the $90 that he spent on the webcam. Do y'all see what I just did? Don't even look at it. I cannot believe I did that. I hope you did not see that. All right, so 0 minus 0 is 0. 9, 14, so 5. So $150 left. Or another word for that is remaining. So he spent half of the remaining money. So how much was left? $150. So half of that, so to get half, we're going to divide it by 2. I believe it's going to be 75. Let's make sure. Yep. So $75 is what he spent on the tickets. Okay, that's what they asked us, right? Well, let's reread it and make sure. So Trey had $440. He used 3/8 of it, of the money, to buy the webcam, and then he used half of the remaining money to buy 5 amusement park tickets. How much money did each amusement park ticket cost? Each ticket. So he bought how many? 5. So I thought we were done because we had 75 spent on the tickets, right? That's why you always go back and reread your question. Okay, because it's asking us how much each ticket costs, and he bought 5 of them. So 5 of them cost $75. To figure out how much one cost, we would have to break it up into 5 groups, right? So 75 divided by 5. So that's 1. A lot of work on these questions. So 15. So one ticket was $15. Okay, go ahead and grid that. I want you to grid it first and then you can check, okay? Make sure you gridded it right. All right, so 5 goes in the ones place and then the 1 goes in the tens place. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop this video for now, and the next video will have the rest of the questions in it. I think that y'all have really worked hard on these. Remember some key things. Always go back and reread the question after you've answered it. Okay, always go back and reread. Make sure you answer the question that they're asking and not the question that you think that they're asking. Okay?